I don't think that it is possible to close the gate to the cookout.
It should be.
It is possible.
It should be.
Kick people out of the cookout. How?
It is.
That ship has been done sailed.
Why now do we want to have this conversation when we don't have enough stories in this modern era of Black people having HBCU experiences that are just Black?
I guess we see no utility in the idea of exploring the culture through someone who we understand to be foreign in that culture.
The fact that we're centering somebody who isn't Black at an HBCU is problematic to me. Why?
Is that we have seen 10 times over these fish out of water stories where people are coming into Black spaces, into Black culture, and it's never flipped on its head. And I'd argue that a more compelling story would have been to take this same character with this exact same background and drop her in a PWI.
If we were talking about Netflix or HBO or something where there is a finite amount of Black shows or resources they're ready to invest, and they chose that, and Keke went and the show she pitched to HBO that she fought for was this show, I'd have an entirely different perspective. But that's not what's happening here. Hello, beautiful Black people. Hey.
Hey.
How are you? Konnichiwa, Kwan.
Let me tell you why I've gathered you here today, since y'all really don't know. I'm sure y'all saw the internet jump Keke Palmer because she put out I'm sure y'all saw it because she put out that trailer for a show that she I think is produced, or I think she produced the show on her network, her Key TV, and her YouTube channel Key TV. She put out a show called Southern Fried Rice.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody lost their fucking mind. I am 32 and tired, so I can't just be giving lashings. We have to discuss with the room, everybody talk, but I am going to play us the trailer, and I think we should watch the first episide together.
I haven't.
Thank you, because I haven't
incidentally
watched
seen the first
Look
episode.
at Ernest.
I had no idea any of that was going on.
Look at y'all's
I've
faces.
only seen stills from the trailer. I haven't watched the trailer yet either.
Okay,
I've seen the
good.
trailer.
And I'm an HBCU grad, so I can see it from those eyes.
Same.
Okay.
I was
alright.
a professor at HBCU, so.
Okay, you see?
And,
Look at
and I'm Black. And
You said it, I'm Black.
so
That's
I
enough.
have opinions as well.
Yes.
Okay, I'm so excited. Let me get the trailer loaded up. Oh, I'm so hyped. Okay.
All right, say cheese. Okay. I know I got some explaining to do. Let's start with the elephant in the room.
Yes, I'm Asian. Yes, my family's Black. And yes, I've always been hard to miss.
This is Coco.
College is what you make it. Once you immerse yourself in the opportunities here, I'm sure that you will find W has so much to offer.
I mean, too hoe or not too high.
Don't forget who you are. Coco, that girl, Jackson.
For a lot of people, this is hard to understand, but Black culture is the only culture I know.
Okay.
Tiger, tiger. Pride, pride. W, you know.
For every person that prejudges you, there are dozens of people that can't wait to get to know you.
Yeah. That's why I chose Rat University. So I could be with people who get me.
So that I can figure out who I am beyond the comfort of what's familiar.
Okay, so Jenny Mine.
Oh my God.
Okay. Yeah. What are your initial thoughts upon seeing the trailer?
Why?
Who is
Is she mixed?
No.
No.
What's the curl? What's the Jerry curl? She's adopted by Black people in the South.
You know, my question is why?
Yeah.
That's the question. Like, why? And then who? Like, who asked for this?
it's developed by Keke Palmer.
It's developed.
Right?
That matters. Yes. Yeah.
Right. Which means there was this idea that Keke must have had to say, I want to do a fish out of water story in the Black community. And I guess instead of choosing like a misfit Black girl or an out of town young Black boy, we said, let's kind of go like fresh off the boat Blackish with it, and like make it a race introduction course, I guess, by making it a Korean a Korean main lady at a HBCU.
Do we want to see Keke's explanation? Because she did put out a trailer came out and everybody got upset. She did put out a thing. So
before we start, that was just a nothing burger sandwich. I listened to that response. That was nothing. She doesn't say anything. Basically, what she tells you is she doesn't tell you anything about the actual show. She just tells you that the creators are Black and that we need to give them a chance and that her company invested in it. She doesn't actually address or actually talk about the specific show itself. It's the most passive-aggressive nothing burger of a statement I've read from a celebrity like her in a while.
What did we want her to say?
Do we have comments? Do we have comments from the actual writer?
Right, that's what
I haven't heard.
Yeah, we can listen to it. I just want to give y'all a synopsis.
All right, there it is.
But I wanted to chop it up real quick about this series called Southern Fried Rice that's premiering on Key TV that is receiving some controversial feedback. Now, Southern Fried Rice was created by Nikita Stevens, and while I can't speak to her inspiration for the show, I can speak to her dedication as a creative. I mean, Nikita has written, show ran, and produced 4 shows alongside her Damn Right Originals team with Key TV. And Key TV has proudly invested over $500,000 on her creations. And I say that because it's not easy to obtain that kind of investment. In Key TV, this is the ethos of the company. It's a network not just because it has stars and shows or has talent, but because it's about the people who create the shows and connecting them. I mean, we have Alex King, a Black queer creator that made the short film Keep Me in Mind. We have Antoine Lachey, who created the horror story Blue Forest. We have Cousin M, by a father and son duo, Rosero and Eric McCoy. Chelsea Sanders, who created Make It Make Sense and Unlabeled by Lawrence Murray. Chelsea also did Dear Keke. Look, what you like is subjective, but the support of Black creatives is not. And it's a task that Key TV takes on with pride, because if you want to be a creative, you have to be able to create. And that takes money. And it's Key TV's mission to find the funds for you to be in practice, for you to experience trial and error, and to take your projects off the page and get more than one chance to do it in action. So whether you like it all or some or none, I say give these creators a chance to grow as we continue to grow in supporting them. So God bless you guys. And like I said, Nikita has Southern Fried Rice that's coming out most recently, but she has Nepotista, Ho and Tails, and Psychology of Fuckboys. That's also some great stuff for you to check out. Take care. Thanks for listening. Holla at you, girl.
So if I can jump in.
Yeah.
When I watched that trailer, yes, I got the fresh off the boat and the Blackish, but I also got a little bit of Zola and a little bit of rap shit from it. I would be curious to know, like Keke just mentioned in her statement, we don't know Nikia's inspiration behind it, but it does. I don't want to go into the conversation about what stories deserve to be told, because I do believe that no one's perfect. We're all deeply flawed, even as creators, and you won't know until you know. But I do question the timing of the series. I also think that the title is very off-putting. And, I would have liked to have seen, if this was going to be that classic fish out of water story, I would have liked to have seen maybe, if you're going to have an Asian girl in a Black family, why not something different? Like one of them uppity, like Jack and Jill Black families, and see how she navigates or is tasked with navigating, something like Martha's Vineyard as one of the highfalutin Negroes, so to speak. And I'm using air quotes when I say that, but I feel like the approach is just a bit lazy. And I also think that the title is what's driving a lot of the discourse, because it's giving Aquafina.
It's giving clickbait. And part of that, that was in the marketing budget in and of itself. I mean, and here we are talking about it. I don't know if like Olay, are we actually going to watch the first episode? Because
no, we
it
should.
is. I had the ambivalent fortune of watching it, and like it's giving Tubi. It's giving it's giving Kenya Barris's internship program.
Yeah.
But the only thing I want people to hold in mind is that I guess I can hear what Keke is saying about she's being very removed. I feel like as far as like the grace I just gave her about the development, like her thing probably stopped at really her and Nakia were in the room being like, what if we did this story? And Keke was like, that sounds like a cool story, and like basically got the funds for it. So how many episodes are like 1 or 2, right? I've only seen the first. This thing is mid. I don't think it's like offensive, but I think it's bad in interesting ways, and that's what I can't wait for us to all talk about.
Go ahead, babe.
What I was going to say was that I just think for me is that I think y'all are being a lot gracious. It's a lot that takes place in Hollywood when it comes to stuff getting greenlit, especially when there's money involved. I think that love her down, but Keke is our favorite stunt queen, and we don't want to be honest about it. She loves a good stunt. She literally took a relationship situation and made it into a whole song. Like a situation that could have arguably been something that was really a little bit more serious, and she turned into a song and literally played off of what could have been a very problematic era in her relationship with Usher and everything, and then turned into a whole Confessions replay off of a song to get us talking. Like, love her, but she can be unserious at times and also play off into it. And I think that this is a situation where she likes the controversy. She thinks it's fun. She's done this with Jonathan Majors with the podcast. We wasn't really listening to the podcast until, I mean, some of us did, but Offset these interviews were talking about it. And she's a showbiz girl. Like, she knows how this works. And so was we talking about Key TV? Was we even talking about it at this scale and this magnitude? No. But this is a way to get eyes on other programs and to get us talking. And I think that that's a part of this. And I think it's controlled because she knows that she's got a loyal fan base that are going to blindly support her, whether she's right or she's wrong, because that's how stan culture is. And we see this with Beyonce, right? Beyonce and Jay-Z can hang out with the Trumps, and there are going to be people that's going to create 1,000 excuses to do it. And Keke's one of those people that no matter what happens, we're going to always give her that grace. That is warranted because we love her. But at the same time, she knows she can get away with it, and she's playing into that. She's extending, she's playing off of her grace card.
Yeah, so Ernest, love you, mean it. And some of the things I can agree with. However, I feel like everybody, right? Keke's an artist. Her artistry stretches. She's singer, dancer, Broadway, right? A connoisseur of controversy. But her making a song off of her painful situation, it's not unheard of. A lot of singers do it.
No,
and whether or not we may listen to her music or not, or even Key TV, she started that because she wanted to create something. Even in her statement, she wanted to say, which is all good. Like, she made some points there where Forest Bias, her company helps. She ain't say forest bias. She was trying to lean in there, but she couldn't because of the kind of content that she was showing.
Right.
But she basically is saying, like, we need to be able to be people who can fund these type of things because we already don't have those opportunities. Now, I don't know if the writer or the person who created the project, is she Asian? Is she black?
She's black. She's a black woman.
She's black. So even with that, that's a problem. Now, I also feel because, and I'm going to just roll this back just a little bit, just a few years ago, right? At the height of the pandemic, Donald Trump was saying that the COVID was because of Asians, right? And, and kind of the Chinese flu or whatever he was calling at the time.
And all different types of stuff. Yeah.
And so they were in danger, right? And coming up to them and attacking them. This has happened. So I don't want people to be like, don't bring up Kamala. Wanted her to be president. I want y'all to know that. That's out of the way. We knew that in that time, Kamala was saying that there is no racism. She didn't believe that there was no racism. She said this. But then she also And this is when we were trying to look for some kind of help, some just kind of, help within, y'all do something. They're attacking Black folks right now. They're killing us. They're shooting us down. This was, the revolution, the reckoning happening 2020. In that same time, she also made way she was like, now we got to sign into law about the hate acts that's happening against Asian folks. We want to protect them. So we were seeing that as problematic. What I'm just bringing that up to say is that America already puts us all the way down. So when we got our own, like HBCUs, or anything that is Black in ours, it's not that we ain't trying. I went to the number one HBCU in the nation, in the world, Florida A&M University. And so I went to that school, and sitting alongside white folks coming from across the train tracks at FSU, because they didn't have the type of institution or classes or studies that we had that were elite, right? They tried to take it from us, but we wouldn't let them. So they would come and sit in our classrooms in journalism, sit with us, and they would appreciate it. We never made them, we were letting them know, this is Black, you go here, and that's it. We never made it some extra issue to try to make them feel great. You're at an HBCU. We're not trying to do, I don't like that when we have, or I don't have a problem with this type of show. The name is problematic, and the fact that we're centering somebody who isn't Black at an HBCU is problematic to me. Why? Like you were saying, why? Ernest? Like, why?
Not to be that guy, but I guess I kind of do want it broken down a little bit about, I guess, do we see no utility in like the idea of exploring the culture through someone who we understand to be foreign in that culture? Right? Like, I don't know where the show's going, but like, I understood the narrative device of using someone who clearly isn't Black, and like, we expect to have holes within Black culture. Yes, there's now this nuance of being like, we're kind of fighting these dual battles of, I was raised, like this quote in the trailer, Black culture is the only culture I've ever known, which I don't even want to dismiss, but there's my question, right? Is it in what sense is it problematic? Is it problematic because we would rather the energy be put, like, we'd rather to see more people like us, or is there a different problem?
Which is, so I have a few thoughts based on that, because I think the outrage is disproportionate, and I think some of the responses that people are like readily expressing for why they think it shouldn't be made are problematic and prejudiced in and of themselves to some degree. What I'll say is this: I think this would be a different conversation especially just a few years ago, when all of a sudden, after the pandemic, you saw, and like everything kind of switched to streaming, you saw shows getting canceled, all these Black shows that they had given the green, like Rap Shit, all of these different things. So there is a real reality of Black shows and Black production and all these different things not being invested in Hollywood and not getting the opportunity. So I think if we were talking about Netflix or HBO or some network or something where there is a finite amount of Black shows or resources they're ready to invest, and they chose that, and Keke went, and the show she pitched to HBO that she fought for was this show, I'd have an entirely different perspective. But that's not what's happening here. This is Keke's network, but what is ultimately her YouTube channel that has a bunch of things on it that no one watches. No one's worth there. Is no. And that is not shady. I'm on her side. Like, hear me out. Yeah. I swear to God, I'm not shading her. What I'm saying is a bunch of people who are acting as though a spot that was reserved for a Black story, an all Black story, or to center this kind of story, it was taken to be given to, and that's not the case. This is somebody who has a whole repertoire of shows and material and content that she's investing in, many of which is completely Black. No one center, whatever.
Exactly.
You're not watching it. So like this idea that this is like, it's like this idea that this story is preventing another story from being told. And in this particular instance, based on the circumstance, it isn't. So like when we say too, like, it's like, oh, why isn't it this? Why isn't it that? Why isn't it? Because that ain't the fucking story she wrote. Like whoever the girl wrote, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, great. I thought I was crazy for thinking that. Yeah.
No,
go ahead, Dexter.
Yeah, Dexter, you go with Chargo.
I'll go ahead.
I was just saying, I'd like to note that Nakia, I believe is her name, is the girl who's responsible for the show. She came under fire on X this week, and there were a lot of tweets dug up from like a decade ago with like, first day on campus, I hope I meet an Asian friend. So yeah, I don't know the nucleus of this show, or the why she put pen to paper to write this, but there are a few tweets that had resurfaced from, people doing their internet sleuthing, quite a few tweets from the Nakia, like I said, I think that's her name. Correct me if I'm wrong, but quite a few tweets from Nakia that were directed towards kind of like, fetishizing is not the appropriate word here, but like, I hope I meet an Asian person, first day on campus, things along that nature. So I feel like that should be noted.
But that like,
also,
all these names speak to, like, we cannot watch. Not everything is for us. There are a million different things on TV, the internet, whatever. There are a bunch of different narratives, and there are reasons why something is not for you and you're not into it, and that's fine. Like, it's one thing to me. There's a difference between this is why this doesn't appeal to me, like wondering who this for. This won't appeal to me, versus thinking something should not be made. It's offensive that this is made. Someone has done something like wrong, tangibly wrong. And I think those are like, that's where I'm not like, but you know, Dexter and I'll let Ernest and everybody talk before we watch the first episode. Ernest and we're dying to see it. It's short. It's one short. That's another thing. It's a web series. To me, it's harking up. We got to think about this.
I just don't want to waste. I value my life and my time.
No, it's real short.
How long? You know,
people are thinking about this. They're thinking about this. Everyone is thinking about this. Like, this is a show on a network. Like, as opposed to what you should be thinking about it. Like back in the day of Misadventures, Aqua Black Girl, or when there was Black Sex on TV and we had Rule Lover Friends and that. It's a web series. It's a
and that's what I mean. There's like knock-on effects.
It's a short little thing, and the whole thing is already out. Like, it's not. It's not, you know what I'm saying? But Dexter.
Yeah, it's like y'all was saying, it's not a zero-sum game. This is not necessarily that, oh, this story gets made and that means the other story won't get made. And there is plenty of room on the internet for all of us. There might not be plenty of time in the day for us to watch the show. We don't have to watch a show. I wouldn't know this existed if we hadn't talked about it. I missed this whole thing.
You and I both.
Now that I've seen it, now that I've seen the trailer, now that I've seen the trailer, I am intrigued. I'm curious. I'm thinking, okay, where are we going with this? But did I watch it and think, oh my God, this must not be made? Not particularly. I want to see where they're going with it, because that is in. And let's say, you know, and again, I do not know what the showrunner or the creator of the show, you know, their past may be, but you know, sometimes somebody's art is a way to work through something that they experienced in the past or trying to, you know, figure out in the past. I'm sure that we all had interests when we were younger that we approached in a certain way that we might not approach right now in that same way. You know, you grow as a person, you decide, you know what, okay, I started as being interested in XYZ, and now I have a more sophisticated, you know, a way of analyzing it or dealing with it or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I'm curious, but yeah, I mean, off of a trailer saying this shouldn't get made or whatever, you know.
I also would like,
are we still doing, like, genuinely, my one question is, are we still doing this?
Yeah,
it's big 2025. We're still doing this.
You're saying judging art based off of a teaser?
Okay.
No, we are.
When you say doing this, do you mean like judging art based off of like a teaser or something like that?
That is what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah, that ain't never going away, Dexter.
What I wanted to say was that, like, I even think
I'm aware of that, and I know that there will always be a lane for that sort of thing. Is just not really my favorite. That's all.
I was going to say that I just think that we need to be. I think there's a little bit of a lack of intellectual dishonesty, not from us as a group here, but just even with Keke and just understanding the internet and understanding audience. We do this, we make this mistake of that we know how the script plays out, right? If you're operating in the Hollywood capitalism of marketing and trailers, you know, what's the point of a trailer if it's not to create a reaction, right? So to say, oh, we can't judge it based on this. No, they knew what they were doing, right? The title, the branding, the clips they chose to put in the trailer is to solicit a reaction. Like, you know, I study a lot about media studies.
I don't think they're upset.
No, they're not upset. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But they knew, but they had to know who was going to be upset. They had to know how this was going to play out in some way. There's no way that they assumed. That's all in the marketing budget.
There's money in Black Rage. We all know this.
Exactly. So this is by design. And so the output is the responsibility of the creators, right? To know what time it was, right? To read the room, to know, is this this is why I asked the question, why? Like, yeah, anybody can create what they want to create. But my question is, why? Why now?
Why not?
Because
why not?
You can do why not, right?
Dexter,
you can do why not, but we're here discussing
the why
outrage.
Not to do, because what I've been seeing a lot about, like, with the why not, people like with this read the room. I've seen people tie this to affirmative action, like the ending of affirmative action is a discussion I see online, and I would like to know if that's what we're having, because I do think it's a really problematic one that doesn't take into consideration like I think it's super problematic. So like, let's lean into that, because like everybody, I would like to have the discussion, because I keep seeing people be like, oh, you should read the room, you should read the room, you should read the room. And just because the room is being like reactively prejudiced towards an entire group of people, I don't think that means that everyone needs to lean into that.
But I want to push back on the framing though. I don't think it's about a sense of people pushing back, because I've heard when I look at outrage and study it, we always go for the most viral, like amplified, stereotypical BS reactions, but sometimes there's other details about disappointment that also gets locked out. So people will oftentimes go for the loud and wrong disagreements rather than there could be some actual legitimate critiques in this that people ignore because it doesn't align with the message. And even as journalists and people out here, we typically, like when people have critiques about Mandani, right? There are some legitimate critiques about Mandani. But a lot of times what gets amplified are the really extreme, radical, problematic stuff coming from, neoconservative Democrats and whatnot that oftentimes shut up any other critique about Mandani that could be worth the conversation. And so I think about this in a sense of the same way of saying that there are some, I feel, interesting critiques about what we're seeing that isn't being amplified because of the larger, loud, and wrong things being said, that it's easy to shut down, dismiss, and go, this person don't know how to read, this person don't know how to think, this is all the chatter. And I would be more interested in the more nuanced critiques that I do think are warranted of discussion, that don't get amplified or go viral.
I know you're going to play the video, Olay, but I think that,
go Rebecca.
I know you're going to play it. Just let me, real quick. And I think I'm looking at it, I'm seeing it I believe that HBCUs are sacred. I think a lot of us think that our Blackness in some way, shape, or form is some kind of sacred thing. I don't want nobody who isn't Haitian to be speaking about Haitian situations and be loud and wrong or trying to be the face for it. So in this particular case, especially with how HBCUs are trying to literally eradicate HBCUs, I don't like that when they're telling the stories. I don't want it to be centered from other people. I don't want their stories to be censored. HBCUs, if we're going to tell the story, I think it should be just told from the perspective of somebody who is Black. And that's just how I feel about it, because it's just the whole thing of surrounding HBCUs, the eradication of HBCUs, the blending of other people and making it palatable for them type storylines. And I am not with.
Before I forget this, Sherilyn Eiffel put up a great post, and she said, I'm seeing some really troubling misinformation and critiques of Keke Palmer's new production about a Korean American student in an HBCU. People are saying it was Asian students who sued to end affirmative action. Let me be clear. It was not. Ed Blum is a white man who's been behind the suits challenging affirmative action for 15 years. Asian American students were part of his coalition, represented by civil rights groups defending affirmative action. This is who Blum is. And then she concludes an article that says, the filing in Fisher, Blum boldly strategized that he needed Asian plaintiffs. He formed Students for Fair Admissions as a vehicle to file litigation. The organization's leadership consists solely of Mr. Blum, Abigail Fisher, and Richard Fisher, her father. Through Students for Fair Admissions, Blum recruited members and filed his challenge to college admissions against Harvard and the University of North Carolina with a twist. This time, Blum claims that the consideration of race discriminates against Asian Americans. That's what he's doing now. And so I just want to state that, yes, Ernest, I agree with you that some things, the most illegitimate or what complaints and gripes will get ballooned or get the most attention than what is nuanced. But there also was the most popular one. That non-nuanced position is what the most folk they don't know constitutional law. They don't know these things. They know the talking point that happened on the internet. Oh, this or whatever about Asian Americans led the charge against affirmative action, XYZ, and thus my op. And that is what a lot of people are expressing in that. And I've seen it. Like, that is the what their jumping off point is. You should read the room. Hey, look what and I saw it because people are challenging the response saying this.
But I want to say something. We see this with a lot of issues in our community, where people sometimes, I think, struggle. I respect what you were saying, Rebecca, because I think that is really the heart of what a lot of people want to say. And I think sometimes because of the way that discourse is on social media, people feel like they need to be more knowledgeable than they need to. Sometimes they can express a feeling, but they will try to grasp from different straws to get the point across because they don't know how they're feeling and they want to attach it to something, right? And so I don't think that they really felt some type of way about affirmative action or that case. I think the real frustration for them is they feel like HBCUs and Black culture in this current climate is under a specific type of attack. And they're asking the question, why now do we want to have this conversation when we don't have enough stories in this modern era of Black people having HBCU experiences that are just Black? Like, while we're talking about, okay, an Asian girl being censored in a story around HBCUs, which we know that's true, I'm willing to figure out how many current stories do we have right now about HBCUs and Black people right now at HBCUs in this same way? Do we have?
They've been canceled.
But I'm sure
they've been
canceled. Those stories have been they've been canceled.
BET,
and because we don't have those, but we're talking about BET. But I'm just saying, like, you know, we could say there's a bunch of gangster shows. There's a bunch of crime stories where we can talk about the different types of crime stories and what they mean. But I just think that in this particular genre and space, because we don't have that elsewhere, I think people did feel some way to see it being done.
This is what I'm saying. That argument would make sense. I think this is a level of, I don't think we accept the fact that we are quite literally programmed and conditioned by the internet and the outrage economy and the algorithm to be mad every week. Like, there's something we're given, like, right? Like, that's what's happening. And like, you don't realize that this shit is not actually that important. Don't watch Key TV. This is not like this. Again, I bring it back to my original premise. This is not us talking about the body of actual Black work and media that's given to us in mass. This did not take a space for some. This is some bullshit on Keke channel with a million other things. And if people were like Keke, I think what she was trying to say, like, while it might sound like a nothing burger to you, what she's trying to say is, I have a whole Black channel and a whole Black network devoted to making all this shit, and all this shit is Black. And you niggas checking out none of that shit. Now you're outraged about this one thing and pretending as though it's taking away from all these other, and I've made these other things. And do we know? Do you know? Name one other Keke show, and do we know what colleges they go to? Any of them characters go to?
No. So somebody did that on purpose to bring it to the internet.
What happened to like letting the understanding that we reach parity when we have the power to let some of our shows be mid, to let all of our shows not have to have the weight of like being the greatest shit ever, being Ryan Coogler all the time, because sometimes you just want a 3 out of 5. Sometimes you just want to watch just something,
background noise,
and that is where, like, and before we eventually do watch this, that is where the grace I'm generating for this comes from. Because to what Olay said about like sort of what a very mainstay black opinion is about affirmative action versus what the reality is, while it's a bit libby for my taste, like, shows like this do have the chance to offer a bridge, right? Not like in any sort of substantial way, but at least in a way that says, hey, like, this is there might be an experience that you have in common here, that the Outrage app X is like trying to obfuscate, right?
All of them,
and that's why I don't want to go too. That's why I want to go too hard on that shit, because it's like ultimately that we just generate more and more. We just get more.
I want to be clear, Ernest. I think I want to be clear. I think Ernest, everything you're saying, Ernest, is absolutely legitimate and 100% right. If this were on any network or a real show,
but here's,
this is just a YouTube series.
But I agree. But let me say this real quick. I just want to say that I think for me, it's what we've seen as influence. Like, that this is, I think the fear is the trend, right? That if we was to isolate this, like, if I'm hearing your point, it would stand. But I think the concern is the influence and the trend. Because if this show gets traction, we saw with Blackish, right?
Doesn't got more views than anything Keke has on that channel, and it's not a lot.
But I'm saying that I'm just saying that the possibility of what this means, like, if the influence becomes trend, right? Like, if this becomes the norm, right? It starts here, but who's to say that then everybody wants to create? Because I feel like when Blackish, that's what happened. You had one show like that, then there's a bunch of other shows.
It was the same nigga making all of them.
I would rather the same nigga making all of them here on YouTube before it gets picked up by Disney Plus. You know, like, I'd rather it be grown in house, critiqued in house.
That's my thing when it comes to Black culture, particularly in relation to Hollywood, because I mean, I know tons of screenwriters and creators who have unique, beautiful, brilliant shows, but the people that are greenlighting, the people who are funding, the people who are supporting these projects, they're not going to stray too far from a formula that they deem has gotten them their initial success. And so that is why at the top of this show, I was kind of pushing for like a different angle, because I thought that might have been unique, because, you know, I'm HBCU alum, and I tell people all the time, attending an HBCU is one of the most diverse experiences I've ever had in my entire life, because Black people are not monolithic.
Exactly.
There are people from all different walks of life, all Black, majority Black, but all different walks of life that attend HBCUs. We have certain cultural staples when you think of, you know, Chicken Wing Wednesday or Catfish Friday, or even aspects of religion that are threaded in to the HBCU experience, but all of us are so different. And so that would have been my particular challenge with this show, even though we haven't seen it yet. But when I look at the trailer, I'm like, well, what would it have been for the Asian girl to hang around, you know, the quote unquote nerds?
Black people.
You know, like there's different types of Black people, but the people greenlighting these stories are not going to stray. We've seen it historically. They are not, they're just too many stories that exist on paper that never have made their way to screen, because people are scared to take a risk. People want to know without a shadow of a doubt that they're going to get a return on their investment. And so if that's more, you know, Tyler Perry type content, if that's more Tubi type content, if they see what audiences are watching or tapping into that church audience, that is what they're going to greenlight. That Hollywood doesn't take risks. So it doesn't surprise me that this show, based on what we've seen with the trailer, has gone throughout that very narrow, myopic definition of what Blackness and what HBCU life looks like.
Again, we ain't watched the thing. This is to what Dexter was saying. And I understand, Ernest, I understand what you're saying. Like, we know that they live in, but this is my thing. I know that if I'm a creator and I know that you have to market content, I know that what you have to do to get things seen, I know what you have to do to make you successful. I have that information. So why am I going to act as though I don't? Why am I acting like the direct consumer that's outraged by content that I have not consumed? Like, that's what I'm saying. Is like, I think I probably, listen, let me be clear. I'm not caping for the show. The show could be ass. I'm saying, I'm just talking about the ability for people to be able to make a bunch of different shit and it not have us on our feet, outraged, like, Jesus Christ, like, make different things. It's like, why is it that? Because it's not that. like
I teach classes on media studies, and a lot of times those classes end up being involved with, you know, what we would call Black culture and what people might call Asian American culture and Asian culture, which are two very different things. What does that even mean, that last one, right? But it's, you know, depending on where somebody comes from. But like, I don't know. Me having gone to a PWI, did not go to HBCU, so I'm gonna come at this from a different angle, definitely. But I personally don't feel like the presence, even as a main character, of somebody who is not Black makes something not be a Black story anymore. I don't feel that.
Especially
at all.
When it's written, produced.
At all. I mean,
everybody else Black.
Think of all the movies that have a Black dude in it or a Black woman in it that you could tell white people wrote it. It's a white movie.
Hardball.
Like, we don't even we could go through so many. We can go through, I mean, the entire reason that like the white savior complex exists, or the white savior, you know, trope exists, or the magical Negro thing exists. There's a Black person in it. It's not a Black movie. I don't have any problem with an Asian person being present in it. I fully understand, you know, the clash and all the whole thing about, you know, affirmative action and how, you know, Black people and Asian people are pitted against each other. And I think also it's good to remember that Asian people are also part of the Black community as well. If we're only thinking about the fact that there are people who are Black and Asian. You do what I'm saying? So there are people who are both.
Baby.
There are people who are both. You dig what I'm saying? And so,
but that's not her.
But then there's people who
I thought it was
in our neighborhoods. We live in their neighborhoods.
I think we should watch it and substantively critique it. I think I think there is power. I think media analysis requires you to critique things. I think we should have the critiques like what Ernest is talking about when we see a thing. My only issue is when we see something we have not seen it yet. We feed into our outrage. Like we know where, like to what Ernest said, we know we're being marketed. We know what it is. We know how we're coming. We know the internet. We know all these things, but we feed into it anyway, and we're up on our feet making all these arguments and things based on what we assume, like rather than actually watch it and critique it. And like I think media analysis is necessary. If we watch it and we see like what the they have Aquafina up here and blah 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 blah, and it's not done nuancedly, then we say that, you know what I mean, and we kick it back in for that. Like, you know, I believe in critiquing media, like don't like. I believe in pointing out what's flawed about a character, what's problematic, what's leading into these stereotypes, and we should do. I'm all for substantively critiquing the thing. I'm just not for being against its making, you know what I mean, inherently, but only because in this particular instance, the caveat is in this particular instant, it is a YouTube series on Key TV that I know we wasn't checking for that. No way. If we were talking about HBO, if Rapture had just got canceled and then this got greenlit, I would have a sign.
I encourage ideas like this on this platform.
I'm like, if you are on YouTube, I'm like, you're making YouTube.
Before some white dad hears from his daughter that, oh hey, I actually really like this thing because we ain't stopped the shit, and they get the Hulu Plus deal. So it's like this is part of what it even means to maintain Black culture, I guess I'll say.
So let's check out.
I'm happy somebody's trying.
Episode.
I'm happy somebody's trying.
And I'm ready.
I might hate it afterwards, but I'm happy somebody's trying. I legitimately think before I even watch it, this is my stance. This is my stance going into it. We've heard of it. Like I
get all the good energy now.
I didn't know that all these
go away.
I didn't know that all these, you know, these takes were out there coming in this purely not even know them.
I prepared no one.
I think that there is so much. I think there's so much opportunity for there to be something actually done in a really interesting way about this. There's so much opportunity for exploration of a topic like this.
What I want to happen. I saw just for I watched the first episode and I didn't watch the second episode yet, but I have a feeling in my heart. I'm like, Ernest, I know you're gonna want to be like, where the fuck is this bullshit going, Ernest? You're gonna hate watch this. I'm telling you, Ernest, because and again, over substantively, not something's back there when you watch it.
Right, all this fire we gave.
Yes, Ernest, I'm ready.
I'm open.
Okay, yay, we're ready.
Let's do it. Let's watch it.
I'm so sorry for your good faith, Desker.
I'm so excited. Okay,
but still, as someone who also teaches digital studies,
y'all ready?
It's a workout.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
I got something for y'all.
That's for me?
For you and your honey bunny.
Oh, wow. And here's your meal.
Thank you so much.
Tell Coco and Tammy we're proud of you.
Oh, I sure will. Thank you.
Thank you.
I got my greens in there. Put my foot in them. Coco? This sure no never been played. Coco? Coco?
Ooh, that was the one Miss Katie made.
Oh, I'm gonna die.
Coco? Get up off the floor. What's wrong with you? She think it was a tater salad. Tupperware? A 4-pan. Tupperware. Go get the Pepto tablets out of my pocketbook. Lord have mercy. Hush. You had no business eating no potato salad that you saw nobody else out there touch.
Well,
In her defense, we did agree not to put Miss Katie food on the table with all the other edible food. Especially after what happened in Jamila's baby shower, when she put the Parmesan and roasted almonds in the baked beans.
She did do that. Mm-hmm. Anyway, you got a letter in the mail today.
Wright University.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. I checked the app this morning and said I was still waitlisted. I got it!
Thank the Lord! Oh, yes! Your dad would be so proud of you. Girl, oh my God.
One bag, infinite possibilities. Kate Spade.
Rent a car from our newest fleet yet. Your real car never has to know.
It just ain't right.
Only come around when they know that you need it.
Like if they married.
I took a risk on me, watch what they do. Took a risk on me, watch what they do. With it only come around when they know that you get it with respect on my name, bitch. I'm worldwide. I thought we finna take this shit, nigga, worldwide. Took a risk on me, watch what they do. With it only come around when they know that you get it with respect on my name, bitch. I'm worldwide. I thought we finna take this shit, nigga, worldwide.
There's somebody really hot, you can't hang.
Okay, I know I got some explaining to do. Let's start with the elephant in the room.
All right, say cheese.
Cheese. Yes, I'm Asian. Yes, my family's black. And yes, I've always been hard to miss. My parents, Dottie and Truman Jackson, met and married while in the Navy stationed in South Korea. And after not being able to have a baby of their own, they adopted me when I was just a few months old and brought me back to their hometown, our hometown, Oatsville, Georgia, where I was raised on catfish, cornbread, and do you got McDonald's money? For a lot of people, this is hard to understand, but black culture is the only culture I know. The folks from my hometown understood me. Granted, we're a small town with less than 800 residents, but everyone knew me. And even though I was different, they never made me feel different. I went to prom here, fell in and out of love here. And now it's time to finally leave the place that has loved and nurtured me unconditionally so that I can figure out who I am beyond the comfort of what's familiar.
And that's why I chose Wright University. It's my dad's alma mater. And I wanted to come to an HBCU in Atlanta so I could be with people who get me. And to find myself, you know?
Okay.
Well, thanks. Go Tigers!
Girls, I'm gonna go meet the resident director. I'll be right back. Oh, Lord, she's my daughter in college.
Okay.
Yes.
You good, Tim?
Yeah.
You sure? You were real quiet the whole drive over.
Girl, I'm good.
Tim, tell me this.
What's wrong? It's just, I got used to the idea of us both taking a year out. But now all that's changed.
I know, and I'm sorry. I didn't think I'd get in this
You don't
semester.
have to apologize, Coco. I'm not mad at you. I'm happy for you. Mad at myself. It's like my whole life I've been doing everything to make sure I didn't end up like my mama. SGA, AP classes, extracurricular activities. But somehow I still ended up pregnant and stuck in my hometown working at Walgreens. Shit is a sick joke. You wanna know the worst part? Everybody just accepted the news. I started planning a baby shower. Like, what is happening? This isn't supposed to be my life. Didn't even give me a chance to consider other options.
That's the thing. You do still got other options.
No, not when you're 17 and your whole family thinks that keeping the baby is the responsible thing to do. Like, what's responsible about bringing a baby in this world that you have nothing to offer?
Everybody is so sweet.
Did you meet the housing director?
I sure did, and she done showed me all the buildings all around campus. And you done looked up and got the best freshman dorm on this whole campus. Let me introduce you to her.
Yeah, we'll be right there. We're just gonna grab some real quick.
I'm sorry for dumping. This is not your problem. And today is about you, Miss College Girl. Okay. Oh, and I got you something.
No, you didn't. Oh, well, if you adore me, do you owe me?
Delusion. Yes, girl. Turn around.
I love it.
Over here. Right. Right. Sweet. I had to get my girl something for her first date in college.
But where'd you get it, though? And where'd you get that money?
Girl, I can save it on my checks.
Looking.
Your name in gold. Now, I know you like to be friendly and go with the flow. But don't be afraid to do your own thing. Don't forget who you are. Coco, that girl, Jackson.
That me?
Okay.
Coco.
Oh, let's go. Because the way she screamed my name right now, nobody's going to forget who I am.
Nobody. Right. I'm gonna get the suitcase.
Please, and thank you. All right, where are we going, though?
No, they don't got no elevator in here. Okay, HBCU. Okay, Coco. Come on.
Coco, let me introduce you to your RA treasure.
Hey, Coco, how you doing? I'll just take this to your room.
Thanks. Room 121.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Coco.
Hey, Treasure.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
And when you have any problems, you see Treasure. Now, put it back over.
I didn't think you should come over, babe. I didn't think you should get closer.
Other ad.
Now streaming.
Please welcome the stars of our show.
It's an all-new season of
Oh, hey, you must be Coco. I just met you by my side. I'm Joy. Let me help you out. Thanks. But I actually just put the mini fridge in the middle, so feel free to use it if you need to do so. I'm thinking about setting up a little tea station, you know. But if you're a coffee girl, oh, I'm so sorry. What are your pronouns? She, her. Okay, but, cool. No. Oh, yeah, so I actually have an electric kettle, so we can do tea, coffee, oatmeal, ramen, maybe quinoa.
There's some diamonds.
Oh, hey, Joy!
Let me introduce you to Coco.
Oh, yeah, we just met. Yeah. Actually, this is Coco. Oh.
Hey, always black shot. I got too much thoughts in my head.
All right. Now we can inform hate. If we hating, we're hating with information.
I'm
fine with that. But I just want us to see it.
It actually made it
like,
worse.
No, let's hate on someone informed.
So what I will say, because I jotted down a few notes. I'll start off with the things that I enjoyed, right? Let's do that. I thought
Ernest like, oh my God, not this bullshit again.
Sandwich. You know?
I thought the cinematography was great, and I was really bopping and grooving to the soundtrack. Whoever was the music director, I love the breaking the fourth wall. Let me tell you how I got here. But my quick bullet point notes is Wendy Williams has a famous story that some of you all may know about or not, but just look it up. I'm just going to say Diss My Seat. It has to do with a celebrity that came into her studio when she was on radio. And that's what the accent was giving me. I also had questions around Coco's haircut. I think it also sat with me the double entendre, like the name is problematic. Coco, there's like a double entendre there, right? And then Coco
Aquafina.
Jackson, right? You blackity black Coco. And then I did laugh when she said she was raised on catfish and cornbread, because I did think of that viral video of that one Asian girl who got soul food and said cornbread. Some of you all may know what I'm talking about, maybe not. And then her sister, right? Why does the black girl?
I don't think she's her sister. They don't have no other kids, so I think she's her friend.
Okay. Well, her friend. Thank you, Olay.
Even worse.
Why does the black girl with the fire engine red unit get, the sob story, essentially, right? Why are you buying Coco new chains and you're prepping for the baby? Those are my notes.
The purpose?
Those were my notes.
Like I said before, and what I said at the beginning, why? And I think watching this, it's even more devastating, because I just knew I would be annoyed. And I was. Because the issue here is that, okay, the beginning, the backstory, whatever, corny, whatever. But I'm thinking, okay, there's a situation where they're going to duo, and this grounded black girl who knows her might be able, that this could be a sidekick situation, kind of the way that Keke Palmer and SZA did that show Just One of Them Days, that maybe there could be a trading places dynamic that I could be able to say, you know what, there can balance and offset this, the yin to the yang, no pun intended. But the fact that we get to this chemistry only for them to be like, oh, actually, psych, she's not in the show. She's not about to be here in this way. There's no, this is all about Coco. And in fact,
the villain is a dark-skinned woman.
Right, a dark-skinned plus-size woman who actually is an ally in a way that basically what I found interesting was that the show hyper censors her in a way that she's taking up space, and even the storyline, even in the narrative, like it's clear she's the lead. I get that. But she's such the main character in a way that no one else is even supporting in a supporting way.
Well, it hasn't unfolded yet.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah, we don't know.
Right, but we're seeing the way in which there is already a sense of I won't say purity, but sanctity and good decisions, bad decisions, good, bad. Yeah. And so far in the characters of the black women in the show, everybody is in many ways like showing their flaws in a way that Coco, we don't see that with her. And that very ending where they frame this black girl who's dark-skinned, plus size, clearly Afrocentric, clearly affirming, like when she says the pronouns, like, oh, she's very smart. And clearly she's not the stereotype of the other characters. Even she's slightly vilified in a way where a woman who understands pronouns automatically sees this girl and there's a sense of a visceral reaction of threat versus like, why?
I didn't think it was supposed to be about, I thought you were supposed to like her. I thought it felt like you were supposed to think she was funny and like her, that it was funny that she thought realistically my roommate is going to be a black girl and in walk. No. I think they were like acknowleding that Coco looks ridiculous to like black people outside of, she looks ridiculous to anybody outside of that immediate.
So what I hear she's planning, I hear that from other folks that based on the way the plot goes with the story, she in many ways is the antagonist of the story. I wouldn't say the villain.
Okay. Well, I haven't seen any of the episodes. I'm only talking.
She is the antagonist. She will be the antagonist.
The roommate
out the show. Yeah, the roommate is.
Yeah, going to be the second episode. It does continue.
She's the villain.
We're gonna watch that, but
and she's the villain.
I don't know if she's total vintage.
No, I wasn't gonna make y'all watch any more of it.
You can spare me.
Are we gonna watch that next?
I mean, it would just make y'all angrier. So I don't know if you guys like the hate watch, but
okay.
Okay. The characters develop more. The characters develop more. More people get more lines. I hadn't seen this first episode. It looks like I watched them out of order, and I just watched the second episode. But like that one had you guys would love that opening scene because it kind of does it positions both this I already don't even know. I forgot Homegirls, but the roommate's language. Basically, in the first scene of the next episode, they're doing like one of those like black trivia games, and basically Coco like beats the roommate, and then the roommate like kirks out on her and is like, you'll never, like, you know, like, you're cosplaying as black, like, you'll never belong here. Like they set it up as like she needs to be, and this goes to like what my feedback is even for the first episode. I have more questions than anything. Once again, trying to at least take the art for what it is. The questions I have is how should I see Coco's starting point? Right? Like, is she tapped in or is she not tapped in? I feel like the story hasn't done that yet, because there are the times in which I'm sure through the backstory, I'm being told like, okay, you know, she's been raised this way, but also the very flippant way in which she's like, she tells her friend to like take her box. That was more than just like, it was more than just oversight. It felt like maybe something's being signified to me where I'm like, okay, actually
grab the bag.
This character might not be, not that she's anti-black, but she might be as a character a bit hot-headed, a bit self-centered, and that's something that she has to like learn or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I'm asking what things are going to be set up, and therefore at the end, when I see that like the black spiritual Earth girl, dark-skinned Earth girl, is being set in opposition to her, basically I have to now assume, at least from the first episode, that is like, roommate. In this weird space of the HBCU, she's like conservative in the fact that she had a biased notion of who was going to be a roommate, and she's going to be checking for the black card of Coco for the rest of the season.
Exactly.
Right? Which might be interesting conversations.
They're vilifying her.
Okay.
But they could both grow. I have like not be straight villain, but like
so the whole thing was, they can go, it's a show, right, that I probably won't be watching, but you know, they can grow. Episode 3, they can grow, maybe by the end of it, maybe there'll be a second. So again, I'll go with a few things. I took some notes, but Olay, you were making a point, and I agree with this point. Not even that nobody be watching right now on Key TV. I would never know. I was on vacation and I came back, and that's when I saw that everybody was in outrage about this thing. I'm like, okay, it's just another thing that they're mad at Keke about, right? So what are we mad about today? Who are we mad at today? Whatever the case may be, one of those things. And I still think it's one of those things, how like, I ain't gonna watch it. There may be an audience for it, but I do think that it was placed into our, you know, threads or Twitter or whatever for conversation, for us to, we do have outrage, to have a conversation, but it ain't going that way, because people who won't go watch it, people who won't go even listen to Keke's response, or people who won't even get a little bit of a breakdown, a summary, they're just going to go off of these the tidbits that are being presented to them online, as you were saying, Ernest. Those are the people that are going to go viral, what seems like the hot take at the moment, with no nuance, right? You guys were mentioning Ed Beatty Head Bloom, who was in charge of eradicating affirmative action. They mentioned the Asians, but see, in this conversation, I feel like Black people need to do their research, because in a conversation or an argument, they can mention the Fearless Fund, which was just recently. And that was with the FAMU grad, who, and I forget her name, but FAMU grad, of course. But, you know, who started
for Black women.
a whole a firm where she was making sure that and it was in last September, and just this September she made it global. But she had to end that because Edward Bloom decided to go ahead and sue, and you know, with a Trump, or you know, a highly Trump appointed court,
Not
Supreme
inclusive.
Court, which told her, you can't do this because it's for Black people, by Black people, and it's a problem. And to me, I'm like, that's a better argument that I could have put there when we're talking about the situation. But here we go, where people are just going off of one conversation and just going off of what feels like the moment that it is. It's definitely how it works. So, but I'm saying we could go really deep and we can go really nuanced. See, she had to end that to make sure that other minority groups won't have an issue in creating capitalist firms for people who needed money, whether it is Asian, whether it's Black, whether it's whatever. She decided to end that to make sure every minority has an opportunity. And so that was, to me, a bigger case. And for her to be an HBCU grad, all the things, there's a lot right there that could have been the conversation. Moving that apart from that, watching this even made it worse to me, censoring her. And it's almost like this, again, making making the experience palatable for this Asian girl who grew up in who grew up with Black parents. That bothers
Georgia,
me. Okay, in the hood, and you mentioned Char. And this is a big thing. Black folks are not a monolith. I went to FAMU and my mind was blown. I am a Haitian girl born and raised in South Florida. Went to FAMU. And I met Black people from London who were African. I met a Black person who was from Miami who was African. I met Black folks who were from all sides, every area of the country. We had different accents, different ways of living, and we brought that together, all the things. I never ate, I know this might be a shocker to you, fried chicken in my household, the way that they cooked it until I came to FAMU on Wednesdays. This is stuff that I learned as I went on within the culture and things of that sort. But I went to school with people who were white because to me, like they had to for the character, like everything to me had to be like making it comfortable for her. And we had this Black girl, her friend as a villain. It was comfortable for her. She gets the acceptance into the school. She gets dropped off into the school. So her friend is like with her and like, girl, I'm pregnant and all this. And it's like, you know,
don't wish their friends well when they go off to school.
This ain't how it goes.
I feel like so many absolutes. Like we haven't seen in my personal view, we haven't seen enough to draw such binary lines in the sand regarding this. We just saw the premiere. We don't know where it's going to go. And again, this is not in defense of it. I want to make sure we're fair in our assessments, because the same things that we're critiquing that social media is doing based off of a trailer, we're essentially parroting that exact same behavior based off of the trailer in the first episode.
I think we risk a few things. So this, to me, this is obviously going to be a fairly, in terms of drama terms, this is going to be a fairly simple show. Nothing wrong with that. It's going to be, and I mean, I don't even necessarily mean basic. I mean simple, where the roommate, we can pretty easily read what's happening. Now, I'm going to make a prediction. I could be wrong, but I think what is being set up here is that roommate is set up as somebody who is open-minded and progressive. And yet, we know this, there are people who are open-minded and progressive about certain things, then they have that one thing that they're just still messed up on. And I think it is, I mean, they're telegraphing it, that this person, after a few episodes, is going to learn the error of their ways. We don't know yet, right? But I think that's probably what's going to happen. Is this person who, you know, somebody's going to sit them down and say, oh, hold on a second. How are you all up in here on some Erykah Badu stuff and you can't accept that this person can be your sister too? They're telegraphing that. That's obvious. And do people like that exist? 125%. They do exist.
Exactly.
And so what's wrong with that?
So that's
the thing.
Honestly, the internet
I'll tell you right now.
So it's
the thing
like
that I'm most upset about, the thing I'm most upset about is the animation quality. That throwback, that looked like I felt like I was on Newgrounds in 2005.
It somehow felt like they used that to save time on shooting.
It was
much better.
Better than Tubi?
I would say
it was better than Tubi, to be honest.
I think it was the idea that, and I get this because I could see this. Like, to me, a better direction that they probably won't go is, and we don't know, to echo what Shara is saying, is a better direction would be to recognize that it can be completely legitimate that you were raised by Black people and you are comfortable with Black people and all this different stuff, and you could still be acting too big for your britches and taking up too much space and not being considerate and engaging in a bunch of microaggressions, which she is, and being performative. And I think it would be like a cool angle if it was, and maybe a better angle is to maybe for them to meet in the middle when, you know, people like those wholesome asshole hand stories of her roommate realizing, okay, maybe I'm doing too much, and then realizing she's doing too much. But I think what the issue would be is if we present her how she's acting is fine, and it's like, oh, the roommate is prejudiced for being off put by this, when like it's legitimate to be like, what the f?
So I was just about to say that to Ernest's earlier point, when we talked about like, oh, the friend that's pregnant with the red hair, that whole like yin and yang, for lack of better term, or Bonnie and Clyde, Thelma and Louise, like that partnership, that is likely going to come from the roommate. to Dexter's point. It's not going to come from the redhead pregnant girl.
I
think that they both, where I could see it going is them both learning from each other, because it's a classic trope. You put two polar opposites in a room in close quarters, and they're forced to have to just go along to get along. And you look up one day and it's like, oh, you watch this show and I watch it. Like, they're going to find commonalities because they're in a tiny ass dorm room. And that's where I can see, where I can project the story going. I just still have beef with the name Coco. I do question if it is short for something, or if these Black parents adopted this Korean girl and just named her Coco. I think the character, like, why the character can just be like Brittany Jackson or something, like, so it's still, I don't want to split hair.
I mean, not to be that kind of guy either, but I do.
Which is why I think it would make sense that they were going in the direction of her realizing
Is it short for
being
anything?
performative.
Like that do be a name.
Is it short for anything?
Yeah, it's short for like something Korean. Like she got Korean parents.
Be so OD makes sense if they're having her be so OD makes sense if they're working towards the angle of like recognizing that there's some performative. Ernest, I'm sorry, what are you doing, Ernest? You talk.
No. I'm thinking. I was listening to what was said earlier about the Coco thing, and and I don't want to be that. I don't care. I want to say that there's this weird false equivalency that takes place when these type of shows happen that frustrates me all the time. It's not necessarily said, but it's implied that there's this equivalency of, oh, Black people, this is a learning thing. Like we're seeing something different about ourselves, that we too have these biases and these prejudices. But I think to myself, what if the opposite happened here? What if it was the Black kid that grew up with the Asian family? Would they actually have the same experience? Would there be a different type of conversation and discourse happening? Or we already know how that will play out? And so even when they try, but I'm saying,
how could it play out?
Ernest is saying that it doesn't exist. Like,
I'm saying that the equivalency is that we don't often see. We don't have to. In many cases, some people argue we wouldn't need to even have to guess in the same way. Like, for example, when I have white friends, right? My white friends, when they come to my parties, like most of my parties are 95% Black. When they come, there's always this joke that people say of like, oh, now I get to see the opposite experience. And I tell them it's never that experience. When you're the only white person in a Black space, oftentimes in settings with your friends, you're never going to experience the same level of fear, microaggression, any of the shit that I feel as the only Black person in the predominantly white space for non-Black space. But yet people will always act like there's this similar thing. I have seen in many experiences where when that non-Black person comes into space, it is never met with the same vitriol, disrespect, and overall harm and fear that is on the other end. We're very welcoming, we're very kind, and yet, like, no one's going to ask that white person. Like, every time I've had these situations, my friends are like, oh my God, it feels even better. I feel even more comfortable. Or it's this different. How do you feel when you're the only one? I'm like, it don't feel like that. It don't feel like that.
I hear that. But
you started talking about like a Black person going to an Asian space, and then you started talking about a Black person in a white space. Like,
no,
are these
what I'm
the same
saying
thing?
is that what I'm saying is that oftentimes anti-Blackness is showing up in a different way than whatever we assume this Black anti-Asian sentiment,
right? Because anti-Blackness is worldwide,
right? Like that reverse racism that oftentimes gets troped in, like that reverse racism narrative that takes place in these things. Like, for example, Malibu's Most Wanted. We saw that. This reminds me a little bit of Malibu's Most Wanted. There's tropes and stereotypes around Black characters in this cartoonish, stereotypical way that lacks nuance. The same way that I can think of with Malibu's Most Wanted, where you got the white kid in the hood that's dressed in a certain way and very much so like Black
make it different that it is Black people talking to themselves in a sense? Like, is there space to have, even if they seem simplified and redundant, like those type of internal conversations? Because like Dexter said, inevitably we do all know people. The trope exists for the reason, right?
No, I do. But I'm saying, what I'm saying is that the dynamic, the conflict, the central conflict that we're seeing play out between that Black girl, the darker skinned Black girl who is in the show, the roommate, that I'm saying that even like with Save the Last Dance, Like if it was it's the same type of trope. Like the black girl in those characters are never going to be as threatening or problematic, and sometimes they make good points.
So
that's
to
what
your
I'm
point,
saying. It's
So you want
honey.
the black people to be more aggressive?
To your point, we got no.
No, we just never. We are.
So
There's no lesson to learn.
So that's my.
No, I'm not.
All I'm gonna say
it's just the example that's already presented in these movies.
I feel like we have seen 10 times over these fish out of water stories where people are coming into black spaces, into black culture, and it's never flipped on its head. And I'd argue that a more compelling story would have been to take this same character with this exact same background and drop her in a PWI. Right? What does that conversation look like when you raised on your catfish and cornbread and you get around your fellow Asian peers? Right?
I don't think we would like
how
that.
Are you interacting?
I think we would say she's Aquafina even more. I think
Well,
we'd be like, why
we can argue that it would be a more interesting case study. If we are inherently having cookout discussions and the gate open and everybody invited, I argue that it might be a more compelling story to have her dropped in a non-black environment if she's been around blackness her whole life and that's the only culture she knows. So what then happens when you enter the real world? What then happens when she graduates from this HBCU?
But the thing is, we don't already
what job does she go to work? I'm just saying,
we don't already accept the lived experience of a person who is like who lives in black culture but is not black.
Okay, so
like that's already not like a contested identity in itself.
Because a lot of them, a vast majority of them are walking stereotypes, and we're not monolithic, and they will argue you down about your own lived experience with neck rolling and certain I
can agree.
People who are like, I was raised around I see the N-word debate every day. I don't care that you were like this Coco drop. Like that's what I want to know.
She bet not.
Not around me.
I can almost guarantee.
I agree that will be interesting.
She may or may not.
It's gonna happen. How could it not happen?
But I'll say this.
It might be not to everybody's liking. I don't know, man. Like I don't watch things to have my worldview confirmed to me. Like I don't need that out of art. I'm not saying everybody here does, but I do think there are some people who get upset when they see. I don't know. I don't think that it is possible to close the gate to the cookout. I don't think it is possible to kick people out of the cookout. How?
It is. It should.
I think
that ship has been done sailed.
It should be.
It's not possible.
It should be.
We cannot keep people out of the culture.
Well, culture moves.
Yeah,
this cookout that nobody want to go to no more because they let everybody in. My thing is, this is an example of how when a white person does something that is black, we make it viral, make them a celebrity. But if a black person does that thing, it doesn't matter. So
I really think we're making an equivalency between white people and Asian people.
Well, I'll say somebody who's not
because there's an equivalency there. She's saying that if a white person got rhythm and can rap Lauryn Hill, they'll go viral in the exact same way. I mean, I don't want to diminish your point,
K-pop,
but the exact same way.
Hello, K-pop
exactly.
with R&B.
K-pop, I'm
Korean. She's Korean. There you go.
K-pop, period. So I'll say this. So I'll say, and so my point before, just a quick point, and then I'll move on from that and go to my point, and I'll leave it there. About HBCUs, and that'll be it. But I was saying, because I wrote it down, what I've seen from the first episode, and this is me, how I feel in seeing the first episode. Well, basically, it's like the characters were written as almost like her welcomers, right? Within blackness and into blackness. And it's like kind of explaining or softening and accommodating her instead of kind of like earning her space naturally. And I also feel like, when you go to an HBCU, they tell you immediately, this is what's going to be. Ain't no sugarcoating it. This is it. That's it. And I feel like it was, again, making it palatable for her. Kind of like giving her, softening the moment for her, giving her an explanation, or
was your RA mean to you? And that's like the only you put your boxes over here. If you don't like it, go home.
Actually, the first
I didn't say she was mean. I didn't say she was mean. But see, you're a PWI grad, so you didn't go to an HBCU. I'm telling you what it's like when you first landed at HBCU. I'm saying,
HBCUs are not monolithic, so I don't know if that's fair.
I will say, and that's right. They're not monolithic. Everything is it's a different experience. But I will say, with that being said, I think, again, even in watching this first episode, it's too
yeah, I think
I wouldn't watch it, but there is a group of people who might find this interesting, or it may be for them. And taking it to the internet, if we're going to have a discussion about it, it should be very nuanced, and we should talk about we shouldn't make misinformation the things that go viral, but we are not in control of that, because things that are salacious or lies, those will take the forefront, or things that are just a hot take, those will take the forefront. Everything that we're saying right now, we may not see it. Everything that we're saying, whether we agree on it or not, may not be the points that go and become viral. They won't be the talking points that people will sit down and try to listen to, or try to go research, or it won't be that. It's going to be what's hot at the moment. And like the point that Olay was reading about how people were making the Asian affirmative action ties together, and how people were able to say, yeah, that ain't it. That's to me, go in and find the actual points. So if you're going to watch it, we're going to have our opinions on it. We're not agreeing on a lot of things here, but that doesn't make us wrong either. Everybody's going to view it and have their opinion on it, and that's it. This would have never came to me if Olay didn't bring it here. I seen it on the internet, and I was like, this won't be a conversation for me, because I don't really care about this. But here we are, and this is my point. For me, and me only, HBCUs, again, are way too sacred for us to be aside from Key TV being a little small space and growing, even though Keke Palmer is very huge. But her Key TV is growing, and she's doing a good thing by helping people push their projects out, and helping to fund those projects. We don't have much of that, especially right now. So that is good. But I will say, again, I just think HBCUs are super sacred in my opinion only, okay? And I feel like when we're telling these stories, I just feel like I rather it be centered with somebody who is Black in their experience, because what's the point of seeing somebody who is Asian or other and seeing their experience? I went to school. One of my closest friends from out there at FAMU is a white person.
Well, she wrote a show right now. If she wrote a show about her
that
HBCU
it wasn't like, hey, you're white, so we're gonna make sure you know that you're white.
Are you saying if her friend did?
I said if your white friend that your white bestie from the white friend, if they made a show, you're not watching it.
It's a boy. It's a guy. Yeah, no.
Well, okay. I think that we also
because they're my friend. If they weren't my friend, I probably wouldn't
I think there is a degree of appreciation if you're a consumer of art and media, that we can't really police what stories should and shouldn't be told.
That's my thesis.
Yeah, if you're in it, then you're in it. But I also think that we should not also approach things.
I agree. We can watch, for example,
or
Rebecca,
not watch. You and I both went to, I'm not a rattler, but you and I both went to HBCUs, and we might have two totally different experiences. And so I don't think there's like a one solid gospel truth to the HBCU experience, because as we just acknowledged earlier in the episode, it is one of the most diverse experiences that you'll have. Like, there are Black people coming from different walks of life, and there are certain, of course, universal threads that tie us together through the Black diaspora, but people are coming in with their own stuff, and when they walk across that stage, they'll be leaving with their own experiences and stuff. And so the story can be, what is this Southern fried rice? Like, there are, of course, things, like I said, I don't want to split hairs, but there are things that, of course, that are deemed problematic. But as Keke said in her explanation video, what we consume and what we like is subjective. There's an audience for everything. Hollywood will tell you there's an audience for everything.
What do we mean by, we've said the word problematic here a few times.
It is, and I agree.
Problematic. Like, what do we actually mean by that word?
I agree. That's a good question, Dexter.
I think problematic is the personal. I don't know if there's one concrete, like, I can tell you for me what's problematic about this show.
Right. I mean, could we replace the word with something else? Like, is it racist? Is it anti-Black? Is it like, what do we mean by problematic?
Fits. I think it
but I mean, like,
right, because it's so based in preference.
I think that gets to the core of like what Dexter's like trying to get to the core of is kind of what my issue is. We can have substance. We don't do it. And again, I think this is part of the internet. When I say we, I don't mean Black people. I mean the internet, like kind of world that we're in, and how like discourse is like fueled on the internet. I don't mean Black people. I mean internet. Like we do a thing where when we have and it could be a grounded nuanced critique or for why we're not interested in something or why we don't like something, it always has to graduate to the level of somebody needs to be in the town square on trial. Like even, and I swear to God, like even how like this episode was asked for me and how people will digest it, right? It's like, if you're what people want to see is like, okay, we're mad at her and it's this whole like group of things, or she tone deaf and all these other things, and why we don't like it, and she needs to be getting her lashings. That was even how this like episode was requested of. And like people, when people like take that kind of like approach to conversations, it feels like all nuance is lost. Like for me, like I'm sure people will watch this and think like, oh, well, I love Southern fried rice. I do not. That's not what I'm saying. You know, that's not what I'm saying. My issue is fundamentally about that this idea that certain art shouldn't be created, or we should be policing what kind of stories be told, and this is in the next thing, and another separate analysis about a separate point about media analysis. I think it's really important to critique media. I think it's really important to analyze media. I think it's really important to make the substantive issues that you're saying, Char, like, oh, what I could say was problematic to me, or Ernest, what I could see was problematic. I think it's important that you say those things. My problem is when we don't get to that conversation because we're not even consuming the thing the minute something comes out. And in particular, when something Black comes out, the minute a Black creator comes out, everyone gets the pitchforks out for whether or not it represents their experience or the stories they think should be told. Exactly. And I think that is problematic.
That's internet.
Well, I also think
without going to watch it or do any background
that
check
is amplified by the powers that be. And what I mean by that is that sometimes, you know, we're talking a little bit of a circle, because we say, you know, people will go out with their pitchforks, but people feel like they have to, because if they simply just say, I don't like something, that's just not enough. We don't allow people to just simply say
pitchforks are different than I don't like it, right?
No, but you're not hearing what I'm saying. I'm saying that that a lot of times when people just simply don't like something, then people then feel those who are powerful feel like it gets reduced to, oh, you're hating. Oh, you don't have a real educated reason.
That's because there's an audience for everything.
No, there is an audience for everything. But the problem is that people don't accept that because they want, there's an ego in celebrity, right? There's an ego in these producers and these creators, right? There is this, and I talk about this in the book, shameless plug, but like there's this idea that these companies and brands demand our attention in a way that it forces us to have to react to these things. And if we simply just say, nah, I'm good, the creator or the people surrounding it, the fandom, right, that goes up for it,
they
creates a visceral reaction that, like I think about, like, we see this with Taylor Swift, we see this with other people, where it's like, if you just simply say, you know what, that's not my thing, I don't care for it. What? How could you not like this? And then it forces people, it fools people to then have to feel like they have to justify, rather than just simply say, you know what, I'm not really feeling it, and that's just it. We don't allow people.
No one's holding the gun in nobody's head. That's
I'm talking about to have the discourse. I'm saying to have the discourse, though, it feels as though it's not enough sometimes for people on either side. Like we say there's something for everybody, but we also don't create a space for people to simply just not like something.
Because I can't remember the last time the generally the communal position was to just not like. Here's my thing, and I think we start
with Cowboy Carter. When there were people who said they did not like Cowboy Carter, it wasn't for them. There was a set of people on the side of the fence of Beyonce that went, "Oh, you don't get it. You lack taste. Oh, you're anti-Black woman."
And there's always going to be that people. It's the algorithm that might push it to my phone, but the discernment that tells me whether or not I'm going to reply to it.
No, but I'm saying that that's the problem, though. The same applies on either notion, whether we love something and someone doesn't like something, or when we don't like something to do. It's always that norm. So I'm just saying that people feel like they have to express themselves or go out their way to justify it, when sometimes the justification just might be, I don't like it.
And that should be good enough. I think anybody worth their salt, because to Color Mind's point, no one is operating on socials with a gun to their head. You can always put the phone down and walk away. and say you don't like something. I think, but to Olay's earlier point about in critically engaging with art, I think the internet creates a space like, you know, there's that running joke how we're all in the same classroom versus like, you know, I used to be in AP history and you were in college prep history, like that type thing. So we come with different understandings. But I do think that there are people who critically engage. I'm just going to use Keke since she's the star of the show today, but critically engage with Keke's work. But there's also a subset of people on the internet that are sitting waiting for Keke to make a misstep, to just jump in. And so it doesn't even, and it applies to everybody and
they're
everything.
always going to be amplified because that is how the algorithms
and it will always be that way. And just like to Ernest's point about like stan culture, where people didn't get Cowboy Carter, and so people were like, oh, you don't understand Beyonce's great-great-grandmama, da-da-da-da-da. There's an equal and opposite reaction to that as well. Exactly. And those are the people waiting in the wings to criticize Beyonce just because she is Beyonce. They would have not liked the album regardless. They would have done the Twitter thread regardless. And so that is how this groundswell of internet culture, and that's why I kept saying it. I wasn't trying to reduce or dismiss anybody's point, but that is like the framework of internet culture. That's just that is how is how we've gotten to this point where we engage, and we also have people trying to outperform each other. So that's why it's never good enough. But because you don't get it because I come with this academic analysis, and you don't get it because I come from this lived experience. Like it's just going to be an outperformance. It all the time. It's a hamster wheel.
That's what I was saying earlier in the very beginning when I said, if we know that to be true, as people who I would argue are a little bit more intellectual and deep thinkers and things, let's not entertain those extremes because those are always going to be around. And I don't give that validity. That's why I was saying earlier that those loud and wrong pitchfork type things, their motivations are not driven by an actual interest in actual discourse and critique. They have agendas that are just chaos agents to the situation. So when I heard the Keke backlash from those folks, I hate when journalism do this, and I learned this a long time ago. Whenever I used to hear the word backlash or controversy, I never tried to chase that because I always recognized that the people cited were people who were bad faith actors. I never let the bad faith actors take the headline because that's exactly what they wanted. And so my mindset was, okay, outside of this nonsense, is there anyone saying anything that's actually worthy of investigation and critique? And what I loved about this conversation tonight was that, okay, there is that pitchfork stuff that we see, but there is some legitimate things that I've heard from Shar, I've heard from Rebecca, that I've heard them like, those are real things that I am even wrestling with in my own personal displeasure of the show. That I think I'm interested in those conversations rather than responding, reacting to this mob of folks that we know have their own agenda in it. They don't dictate in dialogue. And what happens is those things, like I said earlier, gets amplified above the Rebecca critiques or the Shar critiques and other people's concerns. I'm interested in what they're saying because there's something there that I feel like could push. And celebrities and those in power, what they do to divorce themselves from any accountability is that they play victim and only respond to the pitchforks. Correct. And so when you're in that mode, you can't even discuss the real legitimate critique because this is drowning it out.
Something crazy.
And so we never do that. We always
I don't think that happened in this scenario. Like I don't think Keke at any point did that. Even like her video.
No, she didn't.
Yeah,
like but her fans.
I don't think they got enough press to do it.
No, but I honestly haven't seen. Like, here's my thing. I think as somebody like I don't know, maybe I make content. I make a show that a lot of people watch every week and all these different things. And I feel like I have a pretty good temperature of how people respond to things. And it is my experience consistently, religiously, that the less grace you give, the more the internet appreciates that reply. Like I can guarantee you there will be a bunch of people all they hear and then my they spent all episode defending Keke. That's not what happened. You know what I mean? But that's what they'll hear. And in an economy of they just want that. You know what I mean? And so I feel like that is more and more than I see. Like I'm not seeing I think it's right, Ernest. You're right. There's a stan culture. There's this is all the next thing. But I think oftentimes what happens is you're asked everybody. I feel like a rat, like on a wheel. You know what I mean? Like you don't even realize you're just being asked to be outraged because like when we say these words, like we say like accountable. I'm like, what does Keke have to be held accountable to for producing this show?
Yeah, like we want to go to jail or something.
An
Like,
what did she do?
YouTube
What is
show.
the
What are we
what is
doing?
the
She
offense
just
that
hit
people are acting
upload.
like?
I know what it's like to be black.
And those things
I'm
are
not
make
calling
people like
for
me defensive too.
accountability.
I know what
Dexter,
it's
you
like
gotta-
to be black. At least I
Yeah.
know what it's like to be black as Dexter Thomas. I don't know what it's like to be black as any of y'all, but I know what it's like to be black. But me personally, I know
Again,
what
we
it's
say
like
it's not
for
a
me to
monolith.
be black.
Mhm.
And people that I see and a lot of shows that I see shades of things that I can relate to, that I have lived through. And I say, you know what? It's not exactly like that, but I have lived through that. What Coco potentially could be as a character, I don't know that life at all. I do not know what it's like to be adopted from South Korea. And if you know anything about the history of transnational adoptees, like you don't like that's a whole tragic history for a lot of people. It's a painful history. I don't know, for example, if by episode 5, 6, or 7, I don't know how long this goes, at some point does somebody start asking her about her real parents? Do we know how painful that is? If somebody starts comparing, like talking to her about K-pop, which there's a big difference between a Korean and a Korean American. Ask any Korean American who has quote unquote gone back to Korea. They're not necessarily treated like a Korean. I don't know what it's like to be in between like that. I don't know what it's like to be in between at a place that needs to be protected, like an HBCU. That's 5, 6 layers. I don't want to call it oppression, but that's 5, 6 layers of identity. And it's a couple more than what I think about daily. I don't know what that's like. Now, maybe they write this character completely flat, one-dimensional. I don't know. But oh my gosh, the potential for that. Does at some point she go to the library and find out the history of that particular HBCU? I know that this one's, I'm assuming this one's going to be,
she apparently knows more Black history than her roommate. So does she tell us a little bit about her history?
Black pop culture.
She knows Black pop culture. Okay. Yeah, pop culture.
Because the teachings of the Black.
I would lose that trivia contest 10 times out of 10. I'm gonna lose that contest.
Smoke it.
I was like, I'm gonna eat that up.
I would lose it because I know different. Last thing, I know different kinds of Black culture. I know different kinds of Black history. You know what I mean? Like just. I don't know. I had a weird education, right? I would be super interested. Does Coco at some point go to the library and find out that, again, this is not Korea, but it would add some layers on top of this, that would she find out about the Iwakura missions? Did she find out about the Japanese people who came to the United States in the 1870s to observe what America was like and observe that, oh my God, there are white people here and they treat Black people like this, and yet the Black people seem to be as smart or smarter than the white people. This is a broken society.
Yeah.
Would she find out that when a Japan, and again, my expertise here is only in Japanese history. Would she find out that when Japanese scholars came to the United States, they were going to HBCUs? Would she find out that? I don't know. Now, how would she feel about that as somebody who came from Korea, which was colonized by Japan? I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here. I kind of doubt they go that far.
I doubt
but there's
that
so
as
much.
well.
I doubt it. I doubt it. It's like I said, I think it's going to be a simple show, but I do bet she has to deal with the N-word question. I do bet that, somebody says, oh, well, do you speak Korean? And she says no. And I bet she feels some kind of way about that. I bet there's opportunity for a few of these things. I don't know that feeling. I'm super curious about that. Let's make room for that.
I think let's
make room for that.
And I'm not going to name any specific examples, although I have many in my head because I just don't care to litigate, like have everybody trying to litigate on every show or whatever. But I feel like it's so often that a Black show or something, a Black show or movie comes out, whether it be YouTube, TV, wherever it is, it's not even out yet. A trailer comes out and Black people on the internet come to the conclusion, literally wage war against a Black thing that's not out based on their assumption on a trailer, on the idea that this kind of story shouldn't be told. That Black story is not representative. It happens a lot. And I think it is just generally like Southern fried rice. Fuck Southern fried rice. Just as a general, it is a problematic idea, like a problematic thing for us to lean into of this level of police and black art. And there can only be this many stories, and thinking of everything as finite. Like if you get to tell that story, this story doesn't get told. And this story and this da 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 da. And the next thing you know, it's like the shit isn't supported. Like
they already want to kill black art. Why would you comply?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Why are we helping? Like that's how I feel. It's like I know, like to me as a creative, there are things that you make sometimes, like you will make something that's really dope that if you let everybody tell you what their initial worry on what they think it's going to be and how they think people are going to react to, you wouldn't have made. Like my Politics of Ugliness video, if pretty was a privilege, ugly was a curse. Rebecca could tell you I spent 4 months trying to talk all my creative friends into hearing me out. And they didn't want to hear that shit. They were like, don't make that. You can't say it. Nigga, you can't come up there talking about why
like it was longer than that.
And it is a banger. And you know what I mean? When you're able to do something. And so I think it's the creative in me, like the black person in me, the creative in me, and the black creative in me is apprehensive about when we like the work that it takes to go and make something and go tell a story or whatever it is. And I recognize that everybody has a million different stories they're going to tell. They're going to have because they have a million different experiences. Yeah. If I wrote something right now that spoke to my black experience, he ain't gonna speak to y'all. Ain't nobody in this room is a Bahamian Nigerian that immigrated to the US and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Nope. So it's like, I just wish, like to me, take a beat, at least recognize while we're Karen, I'm not saying that it isn't legitimate or to not go engage the thing. I think if you think, you know what, I have this feeling, I saw this trailer made me feel like this and I ain't with it, but let me go see, let me at least go watch it and go see why I'm not with it. You know what I mean? And articulate that or you know what I mean? Or I guess I'm not, that's all I'm saying. It's like, I have
but I think we should be optimistic about that though. I think we should be optimistic about that.
Or that it could be good. That we shouldn't go in with. Yeah.
No, I just mean like I totally agree that like every time, you know, and this is something that happens to black people all the time. And the worst part about it is you know, I said that there's no gate to the cookout or whatever, but I can tell you one thing is that other people do watch us. And so when we're hating on our own stuff,
nothing moves without us. Nothing.
Precisely. Oh, precisely. And then so when people outside the culture see us hating on our own, they take notes. That's all I'm saying. But what I'll say here, I'll keep it quick. What I'll say here is that just to be a little bit more optimistic about the point that you were making, Olay, is that when we see a group of people hating on something or even being super excited about something online, we should take at least a little bit of you know, relief in knowing that it's a loud minority. Most of there are going to be, let's say 10,000 people watch this thing. I don't know how many plays it has. Most of them don't even know we're arguing about it. They're watching, they're forming their own opinions. Now they may agree totally 100% with us, but not everybody is being loud on the internet. Some people are just like, "Ooh, y'all are arguing about that? Okay, all right, I'm gonna watch this video. Ooh, I didn't like that. I'm gonna go back to TikTok. Or I love this. I'm gonna watch the whole thing." At the very least, it can feel like we're always tearing each other down. Really, it's just a small part of us that are tearing each other down. We're not all tearing each other down. Even if it's deserved.
You're absolutely right.
But I do want to, if I can really quickly, I do want to say to you, both of you all's points, that there is a reality that exists. Like that Coco exists in the real world. Beyond this character. There are Cocos in every corner of the United States, whether they be Asian or not, who are immersed in black culture and walking around saying, "Diss my seat," you know, or Cocos that went to HBCUs. And also, you know, it's a marketing tactic. Black rage is a marketing tactic. When I think about my first thought went to cosmetics companies who have limited shade ranges. Then the black girls go to TikTok and say, "Oh, this is as dark as they go." And then they're, you know, we're back in the lab and we apologize. But by that time, there's been a groundswell of how you don't have an inclusive shade range. And so now it's free marketing. Now everybody's paying attention because you've extended your shade range. Or like when H&M put that little black boy in the monkey hoodie. You know, I do think that some of these things are genuine missteps, but a lot of it is like, there is a dollar, like you said, a loud minority. There is, and whoever pieced this trailer together, right? That trailer had to go through a few channels before they hit upload. That had to go through a few approvals, I imagine, before they hit upload. And there were red flags, I'm sure, that were raised, but They're banking on outrage. It's free marketing. We're doing the work for the show.
And again, I feel like I feel compelled to say as a creative, people do this, they'll be like, oh, clickbait, da 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 da. It's like, yeah, people got to do it to get people to watch things. I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. Look at Olay and Friends. Olay and Friends to me is a very nuanced show, very nuanced, thoughtful discussions, whatever. My thumbnails might suggest that I don't like a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like, look at the word choices, look at this, whatever. And it's because you gotta watch it. This is not a defense of Southern Fried Rice. This is just a general discussion about the world we're living in, the algorithm, and getting people to watch things and why rage bait is the way it is. Positivity does not, they don't click on positivity. I'm here to tell you the most positive content you'll ever make is a flop.
Okay,
it's a flop.
But so to that
it bleeds, it leads. That's what we say.
Really quick. I just want to get in the fact that like I do find like
no, that's a nationwide thing, Rebecca.
Olay, no,
this is a good example of even what is the upper potential of being a part of this attention cycle, right? Like at least we have we're trying to scratch more of the issues. I did kind of want to go back to this idea of like the things that we find problematic are in some essences like subjective or within preference or what we would like to see, and like that's to Ernest's point, if I'm understanding correctly, that is really one of those middling feelings that a lot of people are like they're wanting to articulate, wanting more people to talk about, because it's not I don't want to ever see nobody that's not black in my black television, nor is it like, hey, racism is over. Like nobody in this talk is saying that, but it would be nice to have, like, you would think the internet would be a place to have a discussion on, hey, you guys all feel a little bit weird about this too? Am I tripping?
Out that way.
And the fact that we're here being able to say that there are people who are making their own decisions right now, who are being like, okay, cool, I'm not crazy. No, yeah, this is mid. This is mid, probably not my taste. But maybe I might make my mama might like it. She watches Lifetime.
I mean, yeah, for me, I would say several things. One is just like, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I think that in the community, I trust community enough to know that outside of all of the mayhem, there is some smoke here. And so from all of the visceral negative reactions, Black people got a spidey sense that something is a little interesting here. And to be honest, now that I've watched the full episode and I saw the trailer, there is something off about how I feel about this. And it was valid. How people decided to convey that message and talk about and debate it, they did what they did, but it was legitimate. I don't care for the show thus far. Thus far, I don't care for the show. It's not for me. And I'm not saying that I should or shouldn't. I'm just making that be known. But I also want to emphasize some other things too about, there's this word about tearing each other down and people watching all that. Every community is doing this to each other about things. I am consuming all types of different conversations.
I said the internet. I want to be clear. I think
I know, but we talk about this word tearing each other down. It's like everybody is tearing everybody down in their respective community about something. Okay?
Right.
Just across the board. And we all do, it's a human trait. It ain't nothing unique to us. We do what we do based on our expectations, but we do it oftentimes based on expectations. When we do these things, it's because we give a damn about whoever or whatever it is. Right? When the white girls were arguing with Taylor Swift, it's because they held her to a certain regard because of what she delivers. People don't give you that much energy if they don't give a damn about you. Because certain people can do certain things and we won't care. Like there was a reason why we was debating about Mark Lamont Hill for different reasons on Joe Budden, because we care about him, because he matters to us and what he represents.
I said niggas was behaving ridiculously about that too. I said that last week.
Again, but that's because that person holds a level of power. There are some people that could do something and we will not care. Keke Palmer and what she represents to us as a treasure is somebody that we care about, and that's why people are giving all this reaction, because it's something that matters, right? We give this to something that matters. Now, what it matters about and how it matters, that's subjective, but it matters to us. Something about this matters to us to get a reaction. But the one thing I wanted to also add, and what was said earlier, is that one is that I want to be clear, and this is for me, that a multi-million-dollar creative in a corporate media space is not the same creative as some of the ways we are independent and we're doing this on our own. And so I just want to frame that in a certain way, that there is this, these super uber rich creatives in these spaces oftentimes try to make themselves relatable to how they consider art and move it in ways that I'm not saying we're doing that here, but sometimes people feel like they're in the same boat. It's not necessarily the same. But that other thing though that I'm hitting on and where I want to land is that the way that we talk about the beige rating in that trailer, the way it was created, it was obvious it wanted to evoke a certain type of reaction. And so it's almost like, it's not like they just did something in this creative mindset to do what they did without trying to evoke what they evoked. There is a both sides to that aspect as well, that they did create it in a way to did evoke a certain type of division that did spark traffic, and that was part of the marketing. I'm not saying it's clickbait all the way, but I am saying that they did, like, based on what we saw in the episode, I would have created that trailer a lot different than how they created it if they wanted to create a different thing. But to the point that was made earlier, there is a level of controversy and negativity that draws people. They knew that. They created that, and that's why it is happening the way it is, but that's part of them. So when people are dragging the art the way they're dragging it, it was kind of created for it to be dragged in a certain type of way.
Still, it didn't make me mad.
I don't know if I agree with that.
There's so many levels to it.
It didn't make me mad at all.
I don't. Yeah, definitely
not us. But clearly, the people on the internet that had the rage.
Yeah, you can rage bait.
I don't think people's response has anything to do with loving Keke. People choose rage. People choose rage first. There's a certain level like this idea. I want to say I think it's ridiculous across the board. The way that we allow like and again, rage bait, rage economy, internet, all this or whatever. But we allow ourselves to be mad about shit that if you sat down and logically asked yourself, why does it make sense that you are angry at people because you don't like the album that came out, you don't like the show they made, you don't like the thing, just don't like it. It doesn't require even if you could have your analysis, but it doesn't require this personal rage, this affront. Something has been done for me, and that is what I'm specifically speaking to. And why, yes, Keke Palmer is a millionaire and she is a celebrity and she has made money doing a million different things. If you actually know about Keke Palmer, know about Keke Palmer, but also know what it is to be a creative that makes money off of your creative and has shows. Keke Palmer is successful not because of her independent endeavors. In fact, Keke is a person who I think has gone bankrupt once or twice trying to support or finance her own music career and her own independent endeavors that people don't support. And Key TV is another example of that because she launched Key TV, must see 5 years ago, made a whole big thing, yada, yada, yada. Don't watch it. Key TV, you can think of it however we want. And here Keke says she invested this amount of money and blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, it's not a network on TV. It is a YouTube channel. So I know what goes into how much money you make on YouTube, who's watching it, this, and the next thing. So I could tell you Keke's most successful endeavor of her own, The Baby, This is Keke Palmer, is a podcast by Wondery, and that's not where she does. She is not fueling and banking thing. That's not her independent endeavor where she's making the most money. On the things where she's making money, Key TV, XYZ, I could see how much money is being made, looking at the views, looking at this, looking at the next thing. So I say that to say, there is, I understand what you're saying, Ernest. Like, I understand what you're saying, but I think this is not an example. Keke and her independent, her independently produced things is not the same thing as these as a show on a big network or where all this is happening and blah 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 blah. That being said, I don't think I've said it. I don't think there's anything wrong with you disliking the show or saying that you have a problem with it or whatever for whatever reasons. I just don't understand why. Again, it has to rise to this level of like, someone should be accountable. They did something wrong. If something was done as whatever, that's my only disagreement. And I think, and that to me is less about like Ernest and this Keke or whatever specifically, but just a particular kind of way the internet expects us to engage with whatever is the topic of discussion. It's like this thing where I don't feel like we stop to think. It's like when you're dating somebody and you don't stop to ask yourself if you like them, like it just keep going, like because no problem has happened, you haven't broke up, ain't nobody cheated on you, just keeps happening. That's how I feel about how the internet will have you mad. Like you don't even stop to think, does this shit matter? Does this show on Key TV matter?
Well,
but it does. You're just scrolling.
Dexter.
Honestly, what I thought, one of the things that I thought, if I had seen this trailer in a vacuum, and even when I saw it, my honest reaction was, "Damn, you're making a big swing." Like, do you think you can do this? Do you truly think you can do this? Because I mean, let's think about it. How many shows, and we can say whatever we want, how many shows written from a Black are there starring an Asian person written from a Black perspective? How many shows like that exist? And so what they're doing, there's not many. And so what they're doing is they're putting themselves they're like standing in an intersection, like standing in a very busy intersection, because we don't see a whole lot of it on TV necessarily. Even if you're not really into Hollywood, whatever, you don't really see a whole lot of this. Black people and Asian people interact with each other every day. Also in the South, also on the East Coast, also on the West Coast, wherever. Some of this is at HBCUs, right? And so what's happening is there's going to be Asian kids watching this. There's going to be Black kids watching this who have like, Black kids who have like one Asian friend. There's going to be Asian kids watching this who have like one Black friend. Or there's going to be Asian kids who like live in a Black community, right? And they're going to be like, okay, are you going to get it right? And the second they step out of line, they're going to say, that's not my story. I am the real Coco. What are you doing? You're telling a caricature of my story. And so there's so many things that can go wrong here. So many things that could go wrong here. I think there's going to be a lot of people watching this who, listen, there's opportunities here. There's opportunities for like Asian kids to be watching this and be like, damn, maybe the way I've been acting around my Black friends is like, maybe nobody said anything to me yet, but maybe the way I'm acting is like not cool. Like maybe they see Coco do something and somebody checks her and they realize, God damn,
I look crazy.
I did that. And nobody said anything to me. There's opportunity. Now, if they don't do that in this show, it's going to be a lot of people who are upset. It's going to be a lot of Black people going to be upset. There might be some Asian people who are upset about that too. There's going to be some Asian people who won't care. But like, there's so many things that can go wrong
Black
here. I'm like, damn,
either.
you're trying. Yeah.
I mean, there have been online.
You better get this right. You better get this right. You got to have a lot of nerve to try to make a show like this.
Right?
Yes.
That's why I'm looking towards HBCU grads.
They cannot make everybody happy. It's not
like you said, Dexter, it's not yeah, but like you said, Dexter, it's not a monolith.
Oh, I fully
it's
agree,
not a monolith, right? You're just making that point again, and I, like I said, was speaking from my perspective, how I went to an HBCU as a Haitian American from South Florida. It's a totally different experience,
right?
Because I didn't see Black America in that scope. I come from a place that's predominantly Caribbean, so I only knew it to be Caribbean. Going to an HBCU and seeing Black folks come from Alabama, Mississippi, and London, it was crazy for me, right? For that whole mixture. And that's why I call it, for me, in my eyes, it was predominantly Black. We had speckles of other within the school. And we treated them as, y'all just another person at the school. We're not going to make it, this whole thing where we put out a red carpet for you. And so that's kind of like, how I look at it, but I also look at, because of what's going on in today's day and age, 2025, baby, the story of HBCUs and what's going on with HBCUs. It's like, I don't know if this is the right time. That's for me, Rebecca Zora, in my house, because HBCUs should be representative of us by us. In my house. But again, there's an audience that may see something different because of their experience, because of whatever. And that's why I said, this ain't my argument when I seen it online. Does it make me hate Keke Palmer? Absolutely not. I think she's brilliant. I love her extraness. I love how she's out there doing everything. She's a cook. She's a mama. She's a mother, as her ex said online. And, she's a singer. She's on Broadway. She's an actor. She's all the things, right? She won the spelling bee. We know Keke Palmer. And so at that point, I'm not going to let this tell me I don't like Keke Palmer. There are a lot of people that I support that I don't like what they do. If they are doing things like Donald Trump, now we have a problem. I will not support. I'm not going to, whatever. But if it's artistry and things of that sort, I may not connect with it. I may have my point, but I'm not going to say that's a Bible verse. I'm not going to say that's Bible for you to go by that and go out in the streets and attack this person for which way or whatever. We all may, have our, opinions about whatever. But again, when I seen it online, I never thought, okay, I'm going to go to her page. I'm going to go look at this because it's just not for me. As we watched it, I realized more, it's not for me. It wouldn't be something I would engage in for my personal reasons and how I feel about HBCUs and particularly mine. So, but that's just that. That doesn't mean that you're wrong. The next person is wrong for how they want to watch it. There will be an audience for that. But I also love in her explanation, and I love that. I'm going to give a coin to the Black folks who's doing something creative, right? It's not necessarily hurting. We may not agree with it for every reason. And if we are going to make our constructive I'll say constructive, but criticisms online. Let the criticisms have some kind of weight towards it. People are giving things that are a little bit counterfeit. They don't have any weight to them. We're just like the salaciousness. We like what's hot online. Oh, this is affirmative action. But what do you know why it's affirmative action related? Do you know why you don't like that this Asian person is going to the HBCU? What's your reasoning behind it? Is it because this one person from the corner of the earth that might be white from a spam page bringing up this conversation online to make it this whole thing to make us
I don't know,
divided or whatever online on this day of the week,
and they have to confront that?
Yeah, that would be, but I ain't watching it to find out. But it's all right, yeah. But that's how I feel about it. I ain't mad that this is a thing. For me, I won't watch it. I ain't comfortable with it for the reasons I gave. And that's what a lot of people probably who are from the HBCUs or whatever feel the same way or not. But we all have our reasoning. But if we're going to have a reasoning, please do your research. Don't be just going off of what, this person said or this person said. If you really don't know, you just following suit, making your viral sentence or whatever to what this person said. That's what I think that happened, because I'm like, y'all not saying nothing. The same way I'm like, nobody's really saying nothing in these arguments. That's why I will not attach myself to it. I ain't gonna watch it. I ain't gonna figure it out. This will pass by next week, right? Because it's not really an issue. There's so much other content on air right now that is problematic when it comes to Black folks or Black representation.
You get in where you fit in with this. If you don't like what you see, change the channel.
Yeah,
like
you just true.
Get in where you fit in.
Put the phone down. Yeah.
And put the phone down.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like a show. Yay!
Put the phone down.
Hey y'all, this is not a promo, this is not a sponsorship, but I am asking you for something. If you have it, I would love for you to reach deep into your bag and donate to Scalawag magazine so we could support legitimate media in this Trump administration where they are gutting public media and honest journalism left, right, and center. And if we love our beloved Deshaun, as I know we do, we will support their magazine. So please donate to Scalawag here. The link will be in the description. Stop what you're doing and listen up. You just watched a video on one of my channels, but the Illuminati verse is huge, and I want to tell you what everything is and how to find it. The Illuminati verse has 6 channels. On the YouTube homepage of any one of those channels, every single channel in the Illuminati verse is featured at the bottom of the page, so you can always easily find them. Okay, remember I said that. Don't say I ain't tell you how to find it. Subscribe to my main channel Illuminati to find my Illuminati productions, which are my long form video essays and also all of my backlog of content. Subscribe to my second love child, Illuminati Pop, for my weekly video essays analyzing my favorite TV and movie shows and characters. Illuminati Pop also has its own Patreon where you get all of those videos uncensored. Subscribe to my channel, Olay Friends, for my podcast, Olay Friends. New episodes of Olay Friends come out every Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Subscribe to Olay Chill for new episodes of my podcast, Olay Chill, every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And also, both Olay Friends and Olay Chill are both available on streaming platforms like Spotify. Subscribe to Illuminati Bites if you want my takes, but you don't have an hour to spend. Subscribe to Illuminati Politics for my political analysis and my State of the Union type addresses on my show O Squared. And last but not least, subscribe to my Substack Illuminati for my written work.